Welcome back to another TerranScapes video. Today I wanted to show you two modular boards that I've been working on. One is an improvement on the rapids that I was doing. I showed that in a previous video, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a snippet of that video, if I can get that to work all right in the software, and I'm going to include that in the corner of this when I show you this as a close-up so you can see the before and after. But based on some feedback that I got from some of the viewers and my own personal dislike of the way it was coming out originally, I've gone back in with some extensive reworking to try to improve its look. And I'd like to put it out there for some thoughts from the community and some thoughts from the customer. Also, I've been working on a new piece. This is a modular board to go with the Ashland board set. I have a very good customer who recently purchased a few more boards, I can speak, to his existing set. And one of the things I wanted to do is take the opportunity to just do a quick, small trench emplacement on the board to kind of get some practice. I just wanted to do some tweaking with it and play with the idea so I can get some sense of where I might like to go in the future, as doing trench boards is something I want to move towards later this year. And so this gives me an opportunity to place a few bits in the board, get a sense of how they work together, and you know, practice some weathering techniques on the metals and that sort of idea, and gives you a chance, the community, to give me some feedback as well on you know, what I've done to it to this point, and maybe some things I hadn't considered before. So let's take a closer look at these and show you what I got. So first we can take a look at a close-up of the rapids. And the rapids have several rocks placed here, and hopefully I'll put the picture of the old one up here in the corner. One of the things that I put into this that I liked, and something I really need to emulate in more water features, you're going to be seeing this come up more and more frequently, is I've actually gone into it, entering into the patchwork, and I think you can see that doing over the past week and a half or so has been progressively adding in more and more layers of different water effects to build up some real height in some of these undulations, and it gives us sort of cresting over the rocks and to really build some real movement into it. One of the first layers, let's see if I can give you a little profile of it. Well, it is hard because of the cut in the, there you go, that probably helps a little bit if it'll focus out here. One of the first things I did was go in with some Vallejo water effects, and I tinted it with some white paint. I actually went a little bit heavier, and I didn't realize how easy it was to tint. And but you can't tell because it's white itself, so it was hard to tell. And when I put it in, it really had too much of a bright contrast and really didn't have the translucence in the material that I was hoping for. So then I progressively went back in with Woodland Scenic's water effects and added more texture and built up some areas. And one of the nice things is, something that I thought of as a detriment, is that when it builds up into a thick layer, it's very hard for it to clear in some of these deeper spots. And this actually gives a nice cloudy, milky effect, and with the white underneath it, really helps to give this more of a frothy look. I really like this so much more than the previous version, and it gives me some ideas, again, as I think I always say that, of where I can take this in the future, but really liked the motion that this captured so much better than where it was before. And then I've gone back in after it was all dried and done a very light dry brushing on just some of the highest peaks scattered around, just to kind of pick those out, give them an extra frothy look, and add yet another layer, you know, to the coloring. And I think those multiple layers are really what's needed to capture the essence of moving water, because it is such a you know, motion-activated site. You know, like, you know, different parts of the water have different depths. They have a different amount of translucence, different amount of air injected into them depending on the turbulence. So trying to create that multi-layered effect, I think, is important, and it's something I'm going to continually build on down the road. One of the things that I did do, and I don't know if it will show up too well, is I tried to take into account, after watching a rapids video, of the water when it comes over the rocks. It tends to not pool behind the rock, but a little bit behind it. There's like a crest drop and then a roll. And so in some of these areas, I've captured it a little bit better than others, where a crest is dropped and then the roll is behind it. And because of the way the rocks are stacked, like here, of course, the crest is pinned against the front of this rock as it piles up, so it doesn't have quite that distance. But I really wanted to accentuate the piling in front of the rocks as I worked through this, and I think it's come out, like I said, quite a bit better than the previous version. So I wanted to give you a chance to see the redone version of that. And here you can see the new trench emplacement that I'm working on at the moment. The trench emplacement is 3 inches wide, 6 inches long, and I've designed it with the hopes of it being able to support a 10-man squad within it. Now, I don't have very many 40K figures. I used to collect an army in the past, and I sold it a long time ago, and so I've only painted up about 6 or 8 or so Sisters of Battle to use in photography. And Sisters of Battle don't really, you know, their regular troops don't really capture, say, the size of a Terminator, which is obviously, you know, going to take up quite a bit more space. So I can't guarantee this is going to fit a 10-man squad of Terminators, but it should fit 10 normal foot-sized troops. The pit is designed, hold on, well, the pit is 1 inch deep, and I know this isn't 40K. In the final shot, I'll show it with 40K, but it should come up to the chest of the miniatures within it. So it's going to provide a nice convincing line of sight cover, and this has been created with the cast trench tops that I have available in the store. Store will be opening up soon. I'll talk about that in a future video. But these are cast in tough stone, and then they're sectional, so you can arrange them in a variety of shapes and lengths to create a quick and easy way to create the tops of trenches. This was the original design intent for them, and I haven't used them very much since I created them, and it's about time to start putting them to use. They do have a front slope that's automatically built in, and it does require, as I was working with this, quite a bit of spackling to smooth out some of the joins, as a couple of the pieces have a little variation in their slope or height. I did these probably almost 2 years ago now, and my modeling techniques weren't quite as effective then. So the bags look great, but the slope needs a little cover, but you're going to cover it anyway with dirt, and it doesn't take too much spackle putty just to cover those up and to give it a little bit more of a seamless transition. What I did notice is that when I built the corner piece, there's a corner piece that inserts in here which does not have a sandbag on it, and I thought the corners would join without the need of a sandbag on the corner piece, and I found out that there's actually a little bit of a gap. So what I did is I just quickly green stuffed a couple sandbags in the corners, but obviously that's a lot faster than having to green stuff every individual bag to line the top, so I'm still getting a significant time savings with the system. Inside, it's got a granny mesh for the flooring that'll be painted with a weathered metal look. It's got a corrugated side here, and then I've put in some styrene posts in the corners and given them a beveled edge. This is similar to the canal look that I have on the Ashland board, so this will tie style-wise into that as well. In the front here, I decided to play around with some pieces from the Imperial sector. I have a couple leftover pieces from some previous projects that I've done. These are some of the posts that go along the walls. This is an upright from a, what's the word I'm looking for when you have a, Jesus, when you have an upright against the wall. It's not a buttress. My goodness. Anyway, so what I did is I cut the bottoms of the buttresses off, anchored them in, glued them. Actually, I epoxied them in because they don't have a very wide contact point, and then sanded over those glued in areas there. And what my intention is here is to string razor wire around the front of this to give it a sense that there's a directional defense to this position. Gives me a chance to play with some razor wire again. I haven't done that in a little while, and also do some more weathering techniques on some of these metal pieces that are exposed. And quite frankly, I thought it just might look kind of a little badass to have some real pointy stuff poking out and tie into the 40K theme with some of the Imperial sector pieces and look. In the rear of this, again, just as a playing around kind of an idea, I'm just trying some different things on the single board. I thought there might be nice to have something off to the side that's not necessarily related to this, but adds a little visual interest to it. So this is just supposed to be a little rubble pile. These are some plaster barrels that I've cast, and I've sanded them down on one edge so they can sit just a little bit below grade. And I've added in some of the corrugation that's utilized in the trench construction, a couple pieces of I-beam, and then just scattered some piles of dirt on it. And when I paint this up again, I get some more practice with doing some weathering. And I've really been interested in trying some of the hairspray painting techniques. If you're not familiar with that technique for weathering, you should just look it up on YouTube. There are probably a dozen videos out there on how to do it. I've never done it before myself, so I'm interested to try it out, and these barrels to me seem like a prime opportunity to just practice that. So this is kind of like consider this a little palette for myself to work on for some different techniques, and hopefully something to just add a little bit to the board. You know, when you set it up on the table, add a little visual interest to it overall. So, as a final thought, and maybe a question to the to the YouTube community, one of the things I've been looking at for razor wire has been the Secret Weapon razor wire. They sell it as a brass etched. It's a sheet you clip out bits. Has a very nice texture to it, and it's one of the few brass etched razor wires that I've seen in a scale appropriate for 40K or miniatures in the 30mm scale range. I've seen some other razor wires for a little bit smaller scale, and I haven't been too sure about that. So if you know of any other brass etched razor wires that are out there that maybe are a better value or a better look, or any alternatives actually to the Secret Weapon variety, let me know, because I'm interested in purchasing some maybe to try on this project. I don't know. I'd like to move this out pretty fast. I don't know how fast they ship. But in any case, if I don't go that way, then I'll use my standard twisted wire, wrapped wire variety, which I'll show you when that's on there as well. But I thought I'd ask. You know, I have a lot of viewers who are really helpful in pointing out things that sometimes I miss, so it never hurts to ask. Anyway, hope you enjoyed taking a look at these. Keep your eye on the channel. I'll come back with another video, of course, with this board when it's done, and some of the other projects that I'm working on at the moment. So feel free to leave questions and comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those, and thanks again for joining me.